A warm greetings to you all. I am Dr. Mallika, Associate Professor of Biochemistry. In this video, I am going to talk about nutrient cycle in agriculture. A good understanding on nature's nutrient cycle is very important for organic farming. Soil plays a crucial role in nature's cycles, including the nutrient cycle, which involves how much soil organic matter, that is carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus, is taken up and stored in soil. Organic compounds such as leaves and root tips are broken down to simpler compounds by organisms living in soil before they can be used by plants. Some soil bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into mineral nitrogen, which is essential for plant growth. Fertilizers introduce nitrogen and phosphates to induce plant growth, but not all amounts are taken up by plants. The excess can enter rivers and lakes and affect life in these water ecosystems. The nutrient cycle is a system where energy and matter are transferred between living organisms and non-living parts of the environment. This occurs as animals and plants consume nutrients found in the soil, and these nutrients are then released back into the environment via death and decomposition. A nutrient cycle is a repeated pathway of a particular nutrient or element from the environment through one or more organisms and back to the environment. Examples include the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle and the phosphorus cycle. The three main cycles of an ecosystem are water cycle, carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. These three cycles working in balance are responsible for carrying away waste materials and replenishing the ecosystem with the nutrients necessary to sustain life. Nutrient cycle restore ecosystems to the equilibrium state and therefore play an important role in keeping the ecosystem functioning. All organisms, living and non-living, depend on one another. Nutrient cycles link living organisms with non-living organisms through the flow of nutrients. There are 6 major nutrients: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, vitamins and minerals. Water. Currently, large part of humankind influence the nutrient cycle in such a way that we remove nutrients from the land and discharge them into aquatic environments. On one hand, this leads to soil depletion on the land, and on the other hand, an overabundance of nutrients and a pollution of water sources. What plants need? So that is very, very important to know about the need of the plants. Plants are made up mostly of carbon, oxygen and hydrogen, which they obtain from water and carbon dioxide. However, plants will take up a number of other nutrients from the soil that serves various functions. For agriculture, the three most important of these soil-derived nutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen is a component of amino acids and nucleic acids. Plant available forms of nitrogen are ammonium and nitrate. Phosphorus is a component of nucleic acids and coenzymes. It is available to the plant as phosphate. Potassium is a cofactor for many enzymes and play an important role in regulating cell turgor. It is available to the plant as an ion, potassium ion. Crops respond to different soil nutrient levels. In agriculture systems, however, elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium are removed from the plant or soil system when the crop is harvested, and over time these nutrients are depleted from the soil. Low levels of available nitrate or ammonium in the soil will limit a plant's ability to synthesize protein, DNA and a number of other biomolecules, which reduces the overall yield of the crop. Although some free living microbes can fix elemental nitrogen, this process is generally too slow and energy intensive to adequately replace the plant available nitrogen that is lost when harvesting crops. In addition, many farming practices also disrupt natural symbiotic systems of nutrient exchange. Plowing and the use of fungicides can disrupt beneficial mycorrhizal fungi populations, which can make it harder for the plant to acquire phosphorus. Nutrients lost from the soil that are otherwise unavailable to the plant in agriculture system need to be artificially replaced through the use of fertilizers to ensure high yielding crops. Now let us see the fertilizers. Fertilizers are materials of synthetic or natural origin which are applied to soils in order to supply nutrients to plants. Synthetic nitrogen fertilizers such as urea are made from ammonia Phosphorus is extracted from minerals containing phosphate and is often treated to form soluble phosphate salts, which are easily accessed by the plant. The use of synthetic fertilizers can cause environmental problems such as eutrophication, though. This is when fertilizer runoff collects in bodies of water, promoting excessive growth of algae and the consequent depletion of oxygen, which can cause the death of species and thereby reduce biodiversity. For example, some organic fertilizers such as compost can help minimize the environmental impact of the use of fertilizers. Let us talk about the compost. Compost is usually made by mixing plant material which is rich in carbon with animal manure which is rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. Over the course of few months, microorganisms within the compost break down the plant matter to form humus, a relatively stable substance which excels at retaining nutrients like phosphate, potassium and nitrate. This high nutrient mix can then be added to soil to provide nutrients to plants. Since it is rich in both microorganisms and humus, more of the nutrients are retained in the soil. Now let us see what is nitrogen cycle. Atmospheric nitrogen must go through natural process called nitrogen fixation to transform before it can be used for plant nutrition. Why do plants need nitrogen? In both plants and humans, nitrogen is used to make amino acids, which make the protein that constructs cells and is one of the building blocks for DNA. It is also needed to make chlorophyll in plants, which is used in photosynthesis to make their food. As part of the life processes, nitrogen is transformed from one chemical form to another. The nitrogen cycle involves the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen by lightning, microbes and the addition of synthetic fertilizers. This resulting nitrate, ammonia or ammonium, which included in plant growing system in the soil, then undergoes a variety of changes. Nitrogen is important to all living organisms, including us. It plays a key role in plant growth. Too little nitrogen and plants cannot thrive, leading to low crop yield. But too much nitrogen can also be toxic to plants. Nitrogen is necessary for our food supply, but excess nitrogen can harm the environment. Now let us see the phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is an important element for all living organisms. Phosphorus cycle is a very slow process. Various weather processes help to wash phosphorus present in the rocks into the soil. Phosphorus is absorbed by the organic matter in the soil, which is used for various biological processes. Phosphorus moves in a cycle through rocks, water, soil and sediments and organisms. Over time, rain and weathering causes rocks to release phosphate ion and other minerals. This organic phosphate is then distributed in soils and water. Plants take up inorganic phosphate from the soil. Phosphorus is vital to plant growth and is found in every living plant cell. It is involved in several key plant functions, including energy transfer, photosynthesis, transformation of sugars and starches, nutrient movement within the plant and transfer of genetic characteristics from one generation to the next generation. So there are 6 steps of phosphorus cycle. Number 1, weathering of uplifted rocks contributes phosphate to the land. Number 2, phosphate fertilizer applied to the field can run off directly into streams, become a part of soil pool or be absorbed by plants. Number 3 is excretion and decomposition. And number 4, dissolved phosphates. And number 5, geologic uplift. And number 6, again weathering. So these are the 5 important steps of phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus has many important functions in plants, primary one being the storage and transfer of energy through the plant. The phosphorus cycle matters because phosphorus is an essential nutrient for sustaining life on earth, where it plays a central role in the transfer of energy within the organisms, the structure of the genetic material and in the composition of cell membranes, bones and teeth. There are 10 ways phosphorus aids in plant growth and plant health. Enables photosynthesis. It builds nucleic acid, protein and enzyme. It facilitates root growth. It strengthens stems and stalks. It improves flower formation and seed production. It promotes crop uniformity. It contributes to earlier maturity. Now, let us talk about the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle describes the process in which carbon atoms continually travel from the atmosphere to the earth and then back into the atmosphere. Since our planet is an atmosphere and its atmosphere form a closed environment, the amount of carbon in this system doesn't change. Higher soil organic carbon promote soil structure that provide greater physical stability. This improves soil aeration. and water drainage and retention, and reduces the risk of erosion and nutrient leaching. Studies have shown that higher concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide affect crops in two important ways. They boost up crop yields by increasing the rate of photosynthesis, which spurs growth, and they reduce the amount of water crops lose through transpiration. In agriculture, this involves the incorporation of carbon dioxide into living tissue by photosynthesis and its return to the atmosphere through the decay of dead organisms and respiration of plants and animals. Through carbon cycle, carbon moves from the atmosphere to plants, carbon moves from plants to animals, carbon moves from plants and animals to soils, carbon moves from living things to the atmosphere, carbon moves from fossil fuels to the atmosphere when fuels are burned, carbon moves from the atmosphere to the oceans. To have a clear understanding, let us have a look at this animated video narrating this nutrient cycle. The nutrient cycle is a system where energy and matter are transferred between living organisms and non-living parts of the environment. This occurs as animals and plants consume nutrients found in the soil, and these nutrients are then released back into the environment via death and decomposition. In natural systems, when the plant dies and is decomposed, its components are returned to the soil and are taken up by the complex soil microbiome. These elements are recycled by microorganisms and invertebrates, which use them in similar ways to the plant. The interactions in the soil cycle nutrients can change in their chemical composition, which can make them available for plant uptake. For example, atmospheric nitrogen can be fixed and converted into nitrate, which can be taken up by the plant roots. Decomposing plant matter is converted to carbon dioxide via respiration and can be taken up by living plants by photosynthesis. Some forms of life even form direct symbiotic relationships to facilitate the exchange of these nutrients. Mycorrhizal fungi, for instance, excel at acquiring phosphorus in the soil and will exchange it with plants in return for carbon. Nutrient cycling is a process by which beneficial microorganisms harvest nutrients from soil organic matter and also from the parent material. There are a number of strategies to help farmers reach the goal of better nutrient cycling. Reduce unintended losses by promoting water infiltration and better root health through enhanced management of soil organic matter and physical properties. These strategies will improve the crop yield and farmers will get more profits. I hope that I have given you the vital factors that play a major role in organic farming. Thank you so much.